Hello, viewers. Welcome to Ezra Wellness, where you learn proven ways to healthy living. This is your lady Salome here. Today, I'm very excited because I have a colleague that we are going to talk about one of the important topics that you've heard about, leaky gut. You go on the internet, it's everywhere. So today, we want to dig into that and see what it is, how do you know you have it, and ways that you could remedy this situation. Or in case your doctor have told you you have it and you're wondering what to do about it. Today, we are going to give you all that information. So stay tuned. Hey, I have with me a colleague. Her name is Ellena Mendoza. She's a certified functional nutrition counselor. Ellena is also certified for emotional mentor and coach. She is also certified to treat people with small intestine bacteria overgrowth. And she's been doing this for over 20 years. Lena is very passionate about what she does. And her goal is that people will be able to, use their guts to heal their brain and live the optimal life that they are looking for. So that is why she's here this morning to share her wisdom. Ellena, welcome to Ezra Wellness. I'm so glad to have you.
Hi, so nice to be here. I'm really excited about this today.
That's great. It's great. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy woman. Right now, I know some appointments are still waiting, so we're going to dig right in.
Okay.
So, what is leaky gut? Because it's something that is all over the internet, and you hear a lot about these days.
Yeah, we do, and it's really kind of at the crux of a lot of our health conditions. Really, they've done a lot of studies lately that are showing that there's definitely a link between autoimmune conditions and our leaky gut. So I'm going to give you a little bit of anatomy kind of all throughout as I explain some of these scenarios, because I think it's very important to visualize key players that not only contribute to leaky gut, but can also be damaged when this condition is going on. So what leaky gut is, kind of in a nutshell, is that the cells in the small intestine are designed to be extremely close to one another. And this is what allows only the smallest particles, really those microscopic nutrients, to cross the intestinal barrier and then move into the bloodstream where they nourish us. Well, these slight spaces between these cells is called the tight gap junction. And when these cells surrounding the tight gap junction, that's a lot to say, become inflamed, they begin to expand. And what I kind of try to have people envision is just kind of locking your fingers together. And these are the little tight gap junctions. And then when your body becomes inflamed, your gut, inflammation expands your gut cells. And so what happens is these start to expand and widen, and then now you see these little gaps here, right? It's kind of like a brick wall, and the mortar in between the bricks starts to dry out and crumble and loosen, and then you can see gaps, and air gets through and bugs get through and all kinds of things get through that aren't supposed to. So really that's in a nutshell what leaky gut is.
Wow. So that means once that junction get loose, things that are not supposed to go into the blood have access to go in?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to explain a little bit more on that too as we move along.
Okay. So this weakening of these tight junctions, what actually contributes to that?
Well, what I want to discuss too is these little projections in the small intestine. So this mostly happens in the small intestine. And these little projections are like little fingers. They stick up from the wall of the small intestine and they wave around like this. And they actually go up and they grab onto those nutrients and pull them down into the bloodstream. These are called villi. So these are very crucial to nutrient uptake. If you don't have these villi that are standing up nice and straight, waving in the small intestine, you don't get those nutrients into your bloodstream. So what happens when these villi get worn down? There's really nothing to grab all those available nutrients in the small intestine. And that is actually what assimilates about 90% of our nutrients. So we see how really important it is to have a healthy gut lining, small intestine with those villi sticking up. So then, so what causes those villi to flatten? It's inflammatory bowel conditions like candida, dysbiosis or an imbalance in the gut microbiome, which causes inflammation, inflammatory bowel disease like IBS, Crohn's, SIBO, even parasitic infections, celiac disease, allergies, asthma, metabolic syndrome, obesity. The list goes on really, because these are all inflammatory conditions that produce excess mucus, and then it irritates the gut, and then it irritates the lining, and it irritates the little villi, and they start to actually get worn down and they flatten. In addition, sensitivity to gluten, dairy, commercial dairy, especially soy products, all of those, sugar is a huge one, you know, the standard American diet.
Yeah, the sad diet.
Yes, the sad diet, and it does make you sad.
That's right. And the whole body is sad from
yes,
it.
exactly. So all of those cause what we call the villus atrophy. And so this intestinal inflammation is really causes degeneration, it causes nutrient depletion, and then it sets the stage for intestinal permeability, which is known as leaky gut. So and then what happens is those, you know, those holes in the intestinal tract, you know, particles and things start to leak out into those, into the bloodstream. And then that's really where you start feeling all of the problems in your digestive tract.
Wow. So the beginning, let's say, so the beginning of leaky gut is when the villi is worn down. That is where it starts.
Yes.
Then the degeneration goes on. Then it gets to the point that the tight junction gets looser.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. Because
of so all these conditions that you're talking about, then it's like pretty much every condition is kind of linked to a form of leaky gut.
Yes, absolutely. Because what then happens is those particles. So when we ingest food and our small intestine is not tight and we don't have any of those villi, that food actually, those particles can actually get out into the bloodstream where they don't belong. And then our immune system goes, oh, wait a second, you don't belong here. You are not supposed to be here. I'm going to launch an attack.
Yeah.
And so what happens is our bodies launch an attack. They produce antibodies against those foods. And then we have food sensitivities because our body's going, oh, that doesn't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to attack you, create antibodies, and then you're going to have reactions to that food. The other thing that happens is that we have also those antibodies not just attacking those particles, but they're also attacking healthy cells too. So that's where autoimmune conditions can set up. So it's really, we see the root here going from, you know, the loosening of the tight junctions, the flattening of the villi, and then kind of on down the road. And then we start having symptoms like, you know, frequent headaches, fatigue, constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloating, urinary tract infections. A lot of people don't realize that is also tied to leaky gut.
Wow.
Yeast infections, because we actually have a biome as women have a biome in our urinary tract, in our, you know, in our uterus and in all of the reproductive organs, we have our own biome. And when our biome in our gut is unbalanced, our biome in our vaginal tract is unbalanced as well. So that can set up frequent yeast infections. We can also get frequent colds, like if we're sick all the time, brain fog, anxiety, depression, you know, a lot of these mood disorders, ADHD that we see, they're so prevalent today. Yep. All of those things, plus a plethora of autoimmune conditions too.
Wow. So all these lists are some of the symptoms of leaky gut. So you say that leaky gut kind of looks like everything.
In a sense it does. If you're having
everything.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like, you know, Hippocrates have said long time ago, all diseases begin in the gut.
Exactly.
And he was so right. Now we are starting to connect the dots, and it's like all diseases do really begin in the gut. Because once those tight junctions get loose, then things start to throw away and then everything starts to go. So right now, somebody is listening to us, Ellena, and they are thinking, do I have leaky gut? Or maybe I don't. How will the person, let's say, be sure that probably what they are experiencing could be linked to leaky gut? What would you say some of the symptoms this person might see that they might say, I have leaky gut?
Yeah, so all of those symptoms that I listed previously, any type of inflammatory condition, is probably most likely you're going to have leaky gut. Now there's different variations. You could have just a few allergies, or you could be full blown where you're just eating 5 or 6 foods because you're sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
So, you have a kind of a tier, a starting point where things are just starting to happen. And then you have kind of the end point where it's just full blown and disease is starting to take over your body. So if you have any of those conditions, and you can even Google it, symptoms of leaky gut, and you're going to see just a huge list of things like that. Especially, I get people that say, oh, I have a lot of environmental allergies, not only seasonal, but I'm really sensitive to smells. I'm really sensitive to cleaners, things like that. I have a lot of not just food sensitivities, but just, stuffy nose all the time, blurry vision. All of those things can be linked to the food particles and those invaders getting out into the bloodstream and the body, creating those antibodies and attacking it.
Wow. Viewers, as we are listening, leaky gut is a big deal. Pretty much it's linked to every disease. Like you're saying, the list goes on, because like some people, you see them, they always have a cold. They always feel like they're sick. So if you are that type, or you are allergic to pretty much everything, definitely there'll be some sort of leaky gut going on. So you want to continue to listen to see what you could do about it.
Yes.
So Ellena, now let's get to the home run for this interview. What would somebody do about it if they found out that they have leaky gut? Because, like the list goes on. So where do we start?
That's a really good question, because it can be very overwhelming and people just don't know, what do I do? Where do I start?
Yeah.
So some very simple things that we can do. I always make sure that my clients make digestion simple. First of all, I recommend that to calm inflammation by eliminating their food triggers. Okay. Now, this should not be done for months and months at a time. Elimination diets are not meant to be a forever diet, because what happens is you starve the microbiome and things get worse. Yeah. Okay, so you eliminate those known triggers for a few months at a time while you're going in and doing some other healing to the gut, the microbiome, and the leaky gut. So the next thing I would say is to aid and simplify digestion by cooking all of your foods. Raw foods are harder for the body to digest when your digestion is in a state of disrepair. So if you cook all of your foods, it changes the molecular structure. It allows the body to assimilate those nutrients easier, especially if those little villi are not healthy. And so you're getting some nutrients back into your body that way. I also recommend digestive aids like enzymes. Having fresh lemon in your water is going to really help to balance the pH. Or apple cider vinegar too. Those also can help to increase the stomach acid naturally. Yeah. Now, apple cider vinegar is one of those things that some people can't handle, and that's totally fine. If you can't handle it highly diluted, then just opt for lemon water. Yeah. If your stomach can tolerate it, that's a great option. And that will help to naturally increase the stomach acid, which is really the first thing that happens when we start to be unwell and our digestive system isn't working. There's something that is not allowing that stomach acid to be at the correct level. So, that's a whole nother conversation and a root cause.
Yes, I don't know how to feel for that.
But adding lemon water, apple cider vinegar can really be helpful with digestion. And also we want to take a look at your stress levels. There's so much research now that has been done about stress and the gut-brain axis, and how stress can really make an impact on the digestive tract. We get butterflies in our stomach sometimes when we eat, or we're stressed, or we're so stressed we can't eat, or we're so stressed that we eat and we have loose stools or constipation or things like that. So what I tell my clients is to take up meditation, or take up earthing or grounding. Go outside, put your feet in the grass, stand in the sun for a little while, take in that energy, just really try to calm the mind and the heart. Do some journaling if you're having trouble getting your feelings out, or you don't have anyone to talk to. Just try to open your heart and your mind and try to pour those feelings out, because they will get stored in the body and then they can have adverse effects. So those are some of the first steps that I talk about with my clients, really making sure that they're working on changing their lifestyle and some of their dietary habits. And that's really kind of the first few steps that anybody can do to help start that process.
Yeah. So what I want to ask is that you talk about food triggers that people should take out. So as you've been in this space for over 20 years, I would know that at least there are certain foods that that definitely these foods are considered as triggers. Because most of the time when we talk about food, I say people get confused. There is so much information out there. This one will say don't eat that. This one will say, oh, you could have that. This one will say don't. So what are the foods that you've seen as you've been doing this for this number of years that you would say these are known triggers, especially in people who have leaky guts?
So gluten, I would say would be the first trigger. Now, especially any gluten that's processed, processed flour, because of the structure of the gluten, our body just doesn't recognize it. The other thing is glyphosate. Highly sprayed, contaminated, and glyphosate is known in studies to break down the intestinal lining. So gluten is definitely one of those things, especially if you have a trigger. Even if you don't think you have a trigger, take it out for a couple weeks and see what a difference that it makes in your overall health. Your headaches will probably go away. You'll probably sleep better. There's a lot of things that happen when you take gluten out of your diet for a couple of weeks and see. Sometimes you might need to do a 30-day trial. Gluten is a huge cause of inflammation in the body. So that's definitely one of the food triggers, I would say. The other one is commercial dairy. Highly, highly inflammatory. I know everybody loves their cheese. Yeah. And I know I totally get that, but for the sake of your gut, and to start that healing process, this definitely could be something that you can eliminate for 30 days or so. And then of course the other one is sugar, another really inflammatory food that's been added into everything. So what I say is just to go whole, whole foods. Cook, go to farmers markets, buy your foods, your fruits and your vegetables there, and just, start cooking. If you're on a limited budget or time schedule, there's so many things recipes out there you can, the 30-minute recipes that you can do. But just really getting those highly inflammatory foods out of your diet is going to be really important.
Great. So the three big ones, that's gluten, that is wheat, and then dairy and sugar.
Yes.
And that's it. Just do it for a month. See how your body feels. We are not saying stop eating it forever, but just see how you feel, because you're trying to see what will work for your body.
Right.
So Ellena, as we bring our conversation to a close, I know viewers are like, wow. So what would be your last words to viewers that are looking to get their health in shape, they have leaky gut, or they have any other condition? What would be the last words that you say to them when it comes to health?
Well, what I would say is just start by including healthier choices into your diet. It's really sometimes hard to just, go all out cold turkey and take all of those things out of your diet.
Yeah.
But if you were to start small, if you were to include a couple more home cooked meals in the week, with whole, fresh foods, your body's going to respond to that. So, just take your time, Do it over, you know, a longer period if that's what you need to do. But it's called the crowding in method. You know, you crowd in, you put in all these good stuff, this other good stuff into your body, and eventually your body is going to crave that. The other thing too is that I see in a lot of households, personal care products, including makeup, cleansers, fragrances, you know, detergents, all of those things are highly, highly toxic to the body. And they can affect hormones, they can affect, you know, the gut, they can affect all of that. So, you know, trade those out for clean products. I use essential oils. I love my oils for everything. I use natural, you know, aloe-based skincare for all of my products and my makeup. So just look for little things where you can swap out just to clean up your environment. That's always going to be helpful too. And then of course, eat clean. Eat clean and organic as possible, as natural as possible. And you know, because there's so many pesticides and glyphosate, they're a huge problem. And hormones in our animal products. So do your best to try to eat as clean as you can.
So Ellena, where could people find you? Somebody have this condition and they're looking to work with you. Where can people find you?
Well, I have a website, and you're welcome to go on there. I've got lots of information about what it is that I do and the conditions that I help people with. And that is heartforwellness.com. They can also find me on Instagram. And I believe you're going to put the links down here in the comments.
Yes, definitely. I'll put all the links.
Yeah, my Instagram, my Facebook channel, and I also have a YouTube channel, so you can find me there. And on my website, if you want to chat with me, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation, and you can book it right there on the website.
Great, great, great. So I'm going to put all the information underneath the video so that if anybody want to reach out to her, you definitely could do that. Viewers, this was a great advice over there. Ellena, that is a great interview. Thank you so much for your time. I know definitely you're coming back to Ezra Wellness to give us more insight when it comes to the gut. Thank you so much for your time.
You're so welcome. So happy to be here with you today.
Great. Viewers, if you are new here, I say subscribe to this video, like it, and share it to the whole world so that we all grow healthy together. Until we see you in the next video, remember, this is Ezra Wellness, where you'll learn proven ways to healthy living. Thank you for your time.